Ever feel like your marketing efforts are just a shot in the dark? You spend the budget, you run the campaigns, but proving the actual impact feels, well, almost impossible? If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into a framework designed to move you from that guesswork to real, measurable growth.
So let's start with a big question. Why do so many well-intentioned marketing plans just fail? It's a huge source of frustration for so many business leaders. But here's the thing. That feeling of uncertainty isn't a personal failure. It's actually a symptom of a much bigger problem. The traditional approach to marketing is fundamentally broken.
And look, the data really backs this up. A study from Accenture found that a staggering 54% of chief marketing officers struggle to prove the financial impact of their work. Let that sink in for a second. More than half of marketing leaders are essentially flying blind, unable to draw a straight line from their team's efforts to the company's bottom line. That is a massive problem, and it's exactly what we're going to solve today.
But here's the good news. This problem isn't about a lack of creativity or your team not working hard enough. Not at all. It's simply about using the wrong playbook. The old model is broken for sure, but there is a new, much more effective way to operate.
Think of it this way. The old way of doing marketing is kind of like trying to navigate a new city without a map. You've got a vague idea of where you want to go, but you're mostly relying on instinct and pure guesswork, which, often leads to getting completely lost. The new way? That's like using a GPS. It uses real-time data to give you turn-by-turn directions, making sure you get exactly where you need to go, efficiently.
The old approach really has three core flaws. First, it's built on assumptions, not hard data. Second, it's all about channels first. That, hey, we need to be on TikTok conversation before anyone's truly understood the customer. And third, it produces these rigid, static plans that just can't adapt when the market inevitably changes. It's just not a reliable recipe for success.
So, how do we fix this? Well, we need a totally new way of thinking, one that we can borrow from the world of tech innovation. It's called the Lean Startup methodology, and it's all about one thing: a continuous cycle of building, measuring, and learning.
At the heart of this whole thing is a concept called validated learning. Now, that might sound a bit academic, but it's actually super simple. It just means we stop assuming we know what customers want, and instead, we start treating all our ideas like hypotheses that have to be tested and proven with real-world data before we go all in.
So what does this actually mean for marketing? It means every single thing we do becomes an experiment. Every ad, every email, every landing page, it's all designed not just to get a click, but to test an idea and give us data that makes us smarter for the next round. And this right here is the engine that drives it all, the build, measure, learn feedback loop. It's simple. You build a small experiment. You measure how people react. And then you learn from that data to make a really important decision. Do you pivot and try something new? Or do you persevere because you've hit on something that's working? This little loop is what transforms marketing from an art into a science.
Okay, so that's the big picture philosophy. But how does this actually apply to marketing in the real world? Well, in this next section, we're going to walk through a super practical 4-phase framework that helps you build a data-driven strategy from the ground up. This whole framework is broken down into 4 key phases. First, foundation, where you make sure marketing is actually helping the business's main objectives. Then discovery, where you go deep on understanding your customers. Third is strategy, where you figure out your plan of attack. And finally, agile implementation, where you bring it all to life.
Now, this discovery phase, this is where the magic really happens, because this is where you replace all those assumptions with real insight. Imagine you're a clothing retailer. You could use customer journey mapping to literally trace every single step a customer takes from the moment they see your ad to when they get their package. This is going to show you exactly where the pain points are and where you can have the biggest impact.
And look, this isn't just some nice-to-have exercise. It has a massive payoff. Adobe found that companies who really take the time to map out that customer journey see 3 times higher customer engagement. Why? Because you're meeting them where they are with exactly what they need.
Next up is implementation, and this is where we throw out that rigid annual plan and replace it with agile execution. We break the strategy down into short sprints. Usually 30 to 60 days is a great place to start. This lets you move fast, test things, and make adjustments on the fly, instead of being locked into a plan that's probably going to be irrelevant in a few months anyway. But we can take this even further. When you layer advanced analytics on top of this agile framework, your marketing gets, well,
superpowers. In a nutshell, we're talking about tools like predictive modeling that give you a much, much deeper understanding of your data. This is what turns your marketing into a true predictive growth engine.
What predictive analytics really lets you do is shift from being reactive to being proactive. So instead of just reacting to what's already happened, you start forecasting future customer behavior. You can anticipate their needs and jump on growth opportunities before the market even moves.
Let's make this real for a second. Imagine you're an e-commerce company. With predictive analytics, you could identify customers who are at a high risk of churning, of leaving you. Then you can proactively send them a special offer to keep them around. See, this doesn't just improve your retention rates, it has a direct, positive impact on your bottom line.
And the results? They really speak for themselves. As you can see here, research from IBM found that businesses using predictive analytics are nearly 3 times more likely to report revenue growth that is significantly faster than their competitors. That is a massive competitive advantage you just can't afford to ignore.
Another one of these superpowers is attribution modeling. All that means is it's a way of tracking all the different marketing touchpoints a customer interacts with before they buy something. As PwC found, this lets you see which channels are actually working, which leads to huge gains in efficiency and, frankly, just much smarter decisions about where to spend your money.
All right, we have covered a lot of ground, from big mindset shifts to advanced analytics. So let's boil it all down to 5 key takeaways you can start applying to your business like today.
First, and this is the most important one, stop guessing and start testing. Treat every single marketing idea you have as a hypothesis that needs to be proven with data before you invest heavily in it.
Second, build your strategy around your customer, not your channels. Get obsessed with understanding their journey. Map out every step they take. This is how you'll find those moments where you can really make an impact.
Third, ditch the rigid annual plan for an agile framework. You have got to be able to test, learn, and improve in these rapid 30 to 60-day cycles. It's the only way to keep up with the speed of the market today.
Fourth, use your data to look forward, not just backward. Predictive analytics helps you get ahead of market changes and customer needs, and that gives you an incredibly powerful competitive edge.
And finally, number 5, remember what the ultimate measure of success really is. It is not about clicks or likes. It's about business outcomes. Every single marketing activity has to be measured against its impact on revenue, on growth, and on customer retention, period.
So, as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this one final thought. Take a hard look at your current marketing efforts and ask yourself this question. Is our strategy built on assumption or is it built on evidence? The answer to that question is the difference between a plan that just sits on a shelf and one that actually becomes an engine for growth.